Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Spiritual Dowsey. I'm Dowsey LeMay. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time here wherever you are in the world. I really appreciate it. Huge thanks to all my subscribers, people who've been watching my video, following me, liking and commenting on my videos. A huge thanks to you all for your love and support as I continue here in my journey. So today I want to talk about the spiritual concept, the dark night of the soul. Let's talk about what it is, what that process looks like, and then why I think it's kind of important or pertinent to what we're experiencing today in our current now moment, especially with all the things of our society coming to a standstill and we're going through a quarantine, etc. So before I do this, understand that these are my truths and my experiences alone. They've guided me down my own spiritual path. They don't have to be yours, so use your own discernment. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Okay, so let's talk about the dark night of the soul. What is the dark night of the soul? So the dark night of the soul is basically a spiritual concept of which you go through basically a period of time where you will feel desolate, isolated, disconnected, almost alone from any type of spiritual connection, any divine connection. Or what I would say, in my perspective, what it is basically you are stripped of all the things that you have ever known up until this point. You are stripped bare, left alone with only the true essence of who you are, which is your soul. And it is basically a major ego death. So as you go along the spiritual journey, and as I've gone through the spiritual journey, or anybody else who's gone through the spiritual journey, especially for those who are going to go on the spiritual journey, be aware that as you go through the journey, what you're basically doing is that you have been defined as somebody up until this point in your life. In this point in your life, you have taken on all these beliefs, these projections, these limitations, whatever it is, these attachments that has defined who you are as an ego to this moment in your life. So for me, I have been taking all these attachments, all these things that has defined me as Dowsey LeMay up until this point. So it's my attachments and my self-worth and the things that define me around having my athletic ability, around soccer, skiing, and all these other different sports. My education, the things that I have known about my job, my ego in association with being a family and father, and all these different things and how I've grown up and etc. All those aspects and detachments that have defined who you are as a person in today's moment. And as you go through the spiritual journey, what you're doing essentially is removing those attachments. You are removing the identities, the beliefs, the projections that had been placed on you, that you've taken on, that has contributed to you as the creator, creating patterns in your life that no longer serve you. So you go through and you say, these things no longer serve me. Why am I having this pattern? Well, you start to go through that process and you start to remove aspects to you that no longer apply to you. As you go through that, you essentially will become down to one bare thing. And you have removed all aspects that you've known about yourself, and you're left with what? The true essence of who you are as a soul. That process on the external level is somewhat the same. You had internal, you go removing all these different attachments, you move down to the core. On the external side, you remove all the attachments, all the things that used to resonate with you as a person, as the ego. In my case, all the things that I had as the ego associated with Dowsey LeMay. These would be friendships, they would be jobs, they would be things that I was attached to, things that I liked to do, things that would define me and make me feel like who I was, right? All those things, my sense of purpose, right? My feeling of power associated with doing certain things. All these aspects to you, externally too, would start to fall and fade away. So what you get in the dark night of the soul is when you get down to the bare and you've been stripped of all your beliefs, you've been stripped of who you are, you've been stripped of the ego, your ego has a death, you've been stripped of all the self-worth and the things that you've attached to in the external world, all gets removed and you're left bare, naked, with yourself and your soul. You feel very isolated, you feel very alone, you feel very sad, you feel very powerless, you can even be angry, who knows? But you're left with the sensation. Actually, it also is coincidentally tied to the sense of depression, right? You go through all this, you get depressed because your sense of purpose, all these things that you have known that up until this moment, it's been a false and illusion, and you're removing all that. And that's what the dark night of the soul is. Anybody going the spiritual journey at some point will experience that, and I just want to make you aware of that. That process can be as easy as it can be, or as hard as it can be. It all depends on how much you're willing to hold on to the attachments that you have known in your life that has defined who you are as a person up until this moment. So I say that because right now we are having an event that is forcing us into the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul can come in many different myriad ways. Some of which could just be gently moving into the dark night of the soul, and some of it could just be smack dab moving into it like an event, maybe a death, maybe a quarantine and a virus, right? In this case, we are being confronted and forced into a dark night of the soul. Everything comes to a standstill. All the things that you had attachment, things that you have known in the external world is being brought to a standstill and been stripped and removed from you, leaving you with just yourself, and the attachments and the things that you have been holding on to associated with the external world that has now been removed from your ability, removed from your reality. So what are you left with? You're left with dealing disconnection. You're left with feeling frustration, anger, the raw emotions that are associated with you and your ego, and you are left to say, you are going to confront this. You're going to confront it emotionally, you're going to confront it energetically, you're going to confront it spiritually, etherically, you're going to confront this physically and mentally. You're going to deal with that now because now you're having force on the external world being removed, and this event is sending you into a dark night of the soul. An inner journey for you to work through who you are and to remove the aspects of you that no longer serve you, to help you sit with yourself and to find the things that make you true, that make you feel what is truly important to you. This is why I stress to anybody out there, and I would recommend, and I would agree with some people, but I mostly disagree with people who would say, do things now to act in the way that the things that you want. I don't necessarily agree with that. I would say take this time, especially because to me this feels like the dark night of the soul, for you to do your inner work, to look at yourself, to remove the attachments, the things that you've been associating with the outside world, which has been removed from you, which no longer is allowed, that you no longer have existence to. And you're sitting and confronting with all the ego aspects to you that no longer have purpose, that no longer have fulfillment, that you are going to be, and then the longer you hold on to these attachments, the more you're going to see resistance, the more you're going to see anger, frustration, anxiety. All these things are going to pop up, and you're going to continue to have a tough time as you go through the dark night of the soul. The longer you hold on to these attachments, the more you grasp on tighter and tighter, the harder this dark night of the soul is going to feel for you. So I highly recommend that as you go through this, understand that we're probably going to be forced into a dark night of the soul, and this isn't a time about taking action. This isn't a time about doing stuff. This isn't about setting intentions and going forward and accomplishing and doing. This is all about doing an internal journey and removing the attachments as you go through a dark night of the soul kind of aspect event, and to find what is truly important to you and to honor that and to sit through that and to go through all the emotional, mental, energetic baggage stuff that you've had up until now. All those limitations and beliefs up to this now are being shed. You are having to clear all that stuff out and to find what is truly important to you, which is sitting with yourself, your self-worth, self-healing, your family, etc. Find that out. So I hope that helps you. I really think that's kind of a nice little metaphor for what we're kind of going through, and I feel like this really isn't a time about doing, it's about being. And in the being of the dark night of the soul, as you go through that process, you come out on the other end of the night, right? The dark night, you come into the light of the soul, which is basically more about you being more centered, loved, balanced for who you are, and you find passion in the things that you've always had, which is connection to source, connection to family, connection to who you are, and then you can move forward in a different manner. So I hope that helps you. Wherever you are in the world, know that I love you, and if you're going through the dark night of the soul, understand that we've been through that. I honor it, but the more you hold on to your attachments, the harder that process is going to be for you. So take care. If you have any questions, please do contact me, subscribe, leave a message, or follow me on Facebook and Instagram and direct message me there. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.